What's up, everyone? ODC here, and I'm back with another action figure review. Today's review, we're going to take a look at the Mythic Legion's Advent of Decay. This is Xylona. My camera's really not doing her justice right now, so I'll just kind of pan up here. As you can see, this is the full extent of her antlers. Looks beautifully done. I really like this deer head that she has. The new collared piece is there. She does come with the silver chord, which is the bow she uses. Now, in her description, and I want to kind of note this, it does say that she uses magically charged elemental arrows, but she does come with like a regular arrow, so I'm kind of half wondering if maybe these arrows are elementally charged and they just look like regular arrows. But she does come with a regular single arrow and then her quiver on her back with the sculpted arrows. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get into accessories and we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back with Xylona's weaponry. And this is as far as all of her weaponry accessories are included. I guess you could technically include both the antlers, the belt she comes with, and her cloth goods as an accessory, seeing as they're not on the figure in package, but we're just talking weaponry right now, but those would be technically accessories too. Moving on to the first piece, which would be the quiver I want to talk about. The quiver looks pretty good. Don't have any issues with any of these quivers. I like the nice sculpting going along the spine for I guess it's a nice little stitching design for that, and it does continue to the bottom. Very well done. Very pleased with how all of these have turned out as far as consistency with paint, the sculpt, overall everything with these quivers. It just looks fantastic. And like the green with the gold. And then we've got a little differentiation in color with the arrows. We've got some silver with almost looks like a metallic sky blue. Okay, next up we have her single arrow. Which is pretty nice that she comes with. A lot of characters that have bows or crossbows do come with a single arrow, which is good. I like the fact that they decided to go that extra mile and give us a single arrow to put inside her bow. There's actually two little prongs on the bows, which I'll get to in a little bit, where you can put these. But here it is. It's pretty much just a silver for the arrowhead. And then the shaft and everything is pretty much that metallic bluish, greenish color. Next up, we have her dual-wielding scimitar sickle swords, as I like to call them. They look pretty cool. I like the shape of them. We've seen these. These are part of the newly sculpted weapons that we've got in the weapons pack and that were featured in this new wave. So very pleased with how these turned out, and you can connect them if you want to have this as like a dual-wielding bow staff type, whatever you want to call it, sickle, knife, sword, bow staff thingy. Looks pretty cool, though. I like the bright metallic gold for this, and then the green. It looks really good. I'm very pleased with how this turned out overall with the overall sculpt, paint, everything looks really good. Okay, next up we have next up we have I guess you want to call this a broadsword. It's the largest newly sculpted sword that we got, besides that Gwendolyn Heavens brand sword. But it looks really good. I love the sculpt of this. It looks very elvish, very fits the character of Xylona, I think. And while it does say she pretty much just wields her silver chord right here, there's nothing wrong with giving her this sword. It also gives you the options if you want to maybe give this to a different character. Maybe you can give this to Lord Adon if you don't want her to have it. You can give that to him. It comes as a nice gold metallic blade right here. And then we've got some green for the handle guard. Looks really good. And then we've got that kind of like greenish, bluish metallic for the handle. And then green for the butt of the handle. Looks really good. Very pleased with how this turned out. We got a little bit of that greenish bluish, I don't know what you would technically want to call it. Maybe that's kind of like a turquoise color. But looks really good. Very pleased with how the paint apps turned out. And this might be one of my favorite newly sculpted swords. Okay, and last up we have the Silver Chord bow. Looks really good. It does come with a string, an actual string, which is nicely taut. It's a rather large bow, to be honest with you. There's some black paint shading going throughout the bow. Everything looks really good here. I like the gold on each end of the clasps to hold the string in. Nicely painted there. I don't have any slop paint issues or anything like that going throughout the rest of the antler bow here, the Silver Chord. You'll see two little prongs right here, and you can take your arrow and it will hold. So that is something to point out. You can put it on either side, doesn't really matter. But if you want to have her pose with this in the bow and maybe have her hand drawing back like so. Okay, as far as sculpt and paint work go, Xylona's got a whole lot of detail going on here, and I'm going to attempt to try and get her antlers in here. As you can see, there's actually there's a lot of paint detail going on here. There's the regular paint for the bone protrusions, for the antlers, the kind of bone look for her. And then there is some black paint shading going throughout the antlers as well. But not only that, we're also at the tips. I don't know if you guys are picking this up, but right there on the tips, come on, focus. There we go. There's a little bit of, I want to say, silver spackling going throughout the tips of her horns right here, going throughout the antler tips. It looks really good. Very pleased with how that turned out. It gives her that kind of magical feel to her. It's just an added little thing that they didn't necessarily have to do, but they did it, and I think it makes sense as far as her being a very mythical creature. Flipping it around to the back of the head and the horns and everything, it just looks so good. It really does bring out those nice horn tips, that little bit of the silver spackle. I really just can't get over how well done these horns are. They are just epic looking. It really brings out more character for the character in general. And I'm very pleased with how this turned out. I think the only thing I would really kind of maybe mark against it is that we got a little bit of a gappage issue there in the horn. It doesn't seat fully in there. It does kind of wiggle a little bit, but that's not the biggest deal in the world. It's just something I wanted to point out, with mine at least. The back of the head, the paint looks really good, and very pleased with all the transitional paint work here going throughout the ears right here onto the back of the head, how it gets darker, and then she's got these like little, like almost like pink spackle paint on the back of her head. Looks really good. And then the transition from the dark hair on the back of her head to the white hair on the front of her head. And then we've got some brown going around the eyes and the mouth, and then throughout some of the head to kind of bring out all of that nice white paint that they decided to give her. It does include with the black eyes. I love the black eyes. She looks just absolutely just so innocent. She looks so innocent. I can't picture her killing people. It just makes, I don't know what it is. It's the deer head. That's what it is. It's the beautiful, innocent looking deer head. I like the little black nostrils. Excuse me. The little brown outline for the mouth. That looks really good. The whites do have a little bit of differentiation here between the collar piece. This is just a collar piece. You pop this head off the peg, and then this collared piece is a separate piece. It goes over the shoulder. Very similar to what we saw with like Asteron or Torion, those type of characters. I like the collared piece right here. It looks really good as I transition back to talking about that. The green with the metallic green, with the metallic gold looks really good. Very pleased with how that turned out. I love these little like swirly designs going throughout the collar piece as well. That looks really nice. And I like that this little piece right here near the collarbone actually does flare up. It's nice. And it actually does, if you want to use this belt and bandolier style, it actually does hold this bandolier style belt right here that I used in place. So if you want to use that little bit of a hook to keep that up and not wiggling around, it works like that. Moving on to the torso and the arms, it's got this kind of like, I want to say, where the head had some brown, this has some like maybe light green and brown going throughout her. Looks really good, especially over here on the arms right there, on both sides of the arms. Looks really good. Even on the stomach portion of her. And it is consistent with the back of the arms as well, and the back of her torso. And just to note, to stay more consistent with the head, remember how we had the head with the pink kind of spots right there? We also have that on her back. We've got some brown for her back, and then we've got some little pink spots for her back. That looks really good. They did, like I said, they didn't have to go that extra mile, and they could have, maybe not included that extra paint going throughout her back into a transitional white over here with some shading, but they did include it, so that's very nice. The thigh armor is a beautiful green metallic with the gold, and then she's got some purple going in there on the inside detail for her belt piece right here and there and there. Looks really good. I'm very pleased with how that turned out. I like that they threw in a little bit of purple there too to kind of differentiate all the other colors that we've seen with her. So she's quite colorful as far as characters go. The green does change. Oh no, it pretty much stays consistent throughout the rest of her armor. The breastplate is actually like two little leaves. So we do have a little bit of difference there. Very similar to what we saw with Morgulith, as she got her own kind of retooled chest piece. We got it with Xylona too. So they paid her a lot of attention to detail, a lot of love as far as giving her and really making her feel and look, not only look different, but feel different from all of the rest. I still would like to see some inverted legs, though. I just want to point that out really quick before I continue here. The cloth goods is really well done. Very pleased with all the cloth goods here. This is technically, I think, the correct way to do it. Moving this skirt piece up, it's very abundant, very large skirt piece. So I'm going to attempt to do that. There we go. We can see the paint shading is consistent going throughout the rest of her legs. We got a little bit of Xylona cheekage right there. And then for the boots, they're very well sculpted, very well painted. I like the fact that we got some brown with some metallic green and some gold, and then some brown over here, right here for the leaf designs on the side of her boot. Looks really good. Very pleased with how she turned out overall. We do have a metallic green that is trying to be consistent with the rest of the greens. It does a pretty good job of doing so. The hooves look really good. She is another one. I think she might be the second one besides Zarya that got hooves. As far as the female hooves, I do wish that these female hooves were maybe just a little bit larger. They're a little bit on the short side, so she does, maybe want to topple over a little bit more than Zarya, just due to the heaviness of the horns. But I do want to point this out. The horns aren't so heavy where you're going to have an issue with her standing, period. Once you get her in her sweet spot, she's not going to really have too many issues. But really good black paint shading and brown paint shading going throughout the already brown painted hooves. And especially on the bottom, there's shading on the bottom of a hoof, where most toy companies would just leave that bland and boring looking. They included that, and they didn't really have to, but they did. But overall, I'm pretty pleased with how she turned out as far as paint apps go. I think she might be one of the best as far as paint applications go. Okay, moving on to articulation here. Xylona can swivel her head. There is going to be a lot of range of motion that's hindered right here due to this collar piece, but her head can look up about that far. So pretty decent looking up, to be honest with you, especially with a collared piece on. Pretty pleased with how that is. Looking down looks good too. We do have a pivot side to side. So really good range of motion in the head, to be honest with you, especially with the weight of these antlers in here. And the collar piece, you would think it would be hindering it, but it really doesn't too much. Let's see if she's got some jive turkeys. Nope, she's a deer, and she doesn't have jive turkeys. Her neck piece can swivel a little bit, but it's pretty much a separate piece, so it just jiggles a little bit. So if you need to get a little bit of movement, it is there. The arms go up about that far. They go down, full 360 rotation at the arm, a single bend at the elbow, which is about 90 degrees, a swivel at the elbow, swivel at the wrist, or swivel at the gauntlet, swivel at the wrist, hinge joint at the wrist, and it can go back and forth. If you swivel it, it can also go up and down, so a good job there. Diaphragm joint, which does crunch back and does crunch forward and does pivot side to side and can swivel. Swivel at the waist. She can do the splits about that far. Really good job with the splits. Legs go forward, back, upper thigh swivel, which is beautifully hidden. Single jointed knee, which is less than 90 degrees. She does have a swivel at the knee, swivel at the ankle. She can point the heel. She can point the toe. And she does have ankle pivot and 2 peg holes at the bottom of her feet. Okay, as far as Xylona's packaging does go, we've got the typical single card packaging here with the Mythic Legions logo down below. We've got the 4 Horsemen logo up top on the right. On the left, it says mythiclegions.com, sourcehorseman.com, which is the forum, and storehorseman.com. Okay, on the back, we've got some beautiful card artwork, which is also featured in Mythic Legions issue number 1 of the comic. We've got Queen Artemis, we've got Faunus, and we've got Joe Run Shaper. Okay, on this side, we've got her clan logo. On the other side, we've got a picture of Xylona. And there is her read-up. If you want to pause it and read it, you can. Okay, as far as size comparisons go, we've got 2 Marvel Legends here. Luke Cage on the left on the Hyperion body mold, and Multiple Man on the Bucky Cat body mold on the right. Okay, up next we've got 2 female Marvel Legends. On the right we've got Valkyrie, and on the left we have Psylocke. And next up we have a WWE Elite figure in Shawn Michaels on the left, and on the right we've got a DC Universe Classics Hawkman. Okay, and last up we've got a Motu Classics in Vicor on the left, and on the right we've got Sir Gideon Heavens brand. Okay, as far as my final thoughts go for Xylona, I think she's a beautifully done figure. I love all the weaponry she comes with. She comes with pretty much everything that she comes with as far as weaponry is new. We've got the new silver chored bow. We got the single arrow that she comes with, the new quiver, the new broadsword, the newly sculpted scimitar sickle swords that you can combine into one. I think she might be one of the few figures that come with all new weapons. The horns are easy to put in to her head and attach and everything and port in. I love the paint apps on her. I love that she comes with cloth goods, and the cloth goods are pretty consistent as far as being a shinier material with that skirt piece, and she's got that kind of metallic green, so they really play off each other well. All of the paint apps on her are very consistent. Maybe a little bit differentiation in the collar piece to the rest of the body, but I'm not going to fault them too much for that. I think she's a home run. I would definitely pick her up, and I'm going to give her the full seal of approval, the 2 thumbs up. If I had another thumb, I'd give her a 3rd thumb, and I think she's one of the best figures in the wave, and you're not going to want to pass on her. This is a do not pass as far as figures in this wave. She's got a really cool backstory. She's overpowered as hell, which I love. I love this beautiful deer head that we got with these great antlers with beautiful paint details. You got 3 different paint apps on those antlers. It's fantastic. So I definitely would say pick her up if you get the chance. I think she's even worth the $50 at Big Bad Toy Store right now. So definitely you have the chance to get her. I'd say definitely pick her up. That's just my opinion, but let me know in the comments below. Do you like Xylona? Do you not like Xylona? And be sure to hit that like button if you like the review and you want more content. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. I believe there's only 2 more Advent of Decay reviews to do. So this has been a wonderful experience doing this these figures, and I can't wait to do more down the road. But be sure to hit that subscribe button as well, and hit the bell for notifications until you see 2 little parentheses hanging over the bell. This way you know you get all notifications. And that's pretty much it. Go get her and enjoy your figures. Have fun. And I'll see you guys on the flip side.